win. This race the closest in the event's 27-year history. They had a dandy going. 43 cars set out on this year's 900-kilometer Ontario Rally, the first special stage held at Woodbine Racetrack Saturday morning. The defending champions, Taisto Heinonen and Tom Burgess, were the pre-event favorites in their factory-prepared Toyota Celica. The main competition was expected to come from the British Leyland team, Jean-Paul Pérouse and Louis Boulanger of Montreal. Pérouse won this stage by 4 seconds. But when the cars reached the rough special stages near Parry Sound here, Taisto took control, carving out a comfortable lead over Pérouse, who was having some transmission problems. Temperatures dropped to below minus 30 degrees overnight. The icy conditions then were causing a lot of problems for just about all of the drivers. And then, by midnight Saturday, after about 600 kilometers, the crews made a service stop in Parry Sound. Heinonen had a 15-second lead over Pérouse, and Jean-Paul decided to go for broke in the final 5 stages in an effort to catch the Flying Finn.
With 15 seconds to gain on Taisto, even with 2 gears, I think we're going to give him a good running, I hope.
Determined to win or crash, Pérouse chased Heinonen and finally caught him and took the lead on the final special stage. After 900 kilometers, margin of victory was only 4 seconds, but enough to win it.
For the 79 Molson Rally Championships of Canada down in Toronto, this year's Ontario Winter Rally was the most closely fought in the event's 27-year history. Now, 43 teams set out on this year's 900-kilometer Ontario Winter Rally. The first special stage was held at Woodbine Racetrack yesterday morning. Defending champs Taisto Heinonen and Tom Burgess were the pre-event favorites in their factory-prepared Toyota Celicas. Their main competition was expected to come from the British Leyland team of Jean-Paul Pérouse and Louis Boulanger of Montreal. Pérouse won this stage by 4 seconds. But when the cars reached the rough special stages near Parry Sound, Taisto took control, carving out a comfortable lead over Pérouse, who was having transmission problems. Temperatures dropped to below 30 degrees overnight, and the icy conditions were causing problems for a lot of the drivers, as we see here. Now, by midnight Saturday and after 600 kilometers, the crews made a service stop in Parry Sound. Heinonen held a 15-second lead over Pérouse, and Pérouse decided to go for broke during the final 5 stages in an effort to catch the racing Finn. We see the cars heading around some of the corners there having their problems.
Put everything on, Jean-Paul.
With 15 seconds to gain on Taisto, even with 2 gears, I think we're going to give him a good running, I hope.
Determined to win or crash, Jean-Paul Pérouse chased Heinonen, finally catching him and taking the lead in the final special stage. That's after 900 kilometers. His margin of victory was just 4 seconds. Third place went to Otto Skorenek of Saskatoon in a factory-entered Datsun. Only 18 cars managed to finish the course, and it was a good one at the Ontario Winter Rally this past weekend.
The second leg of the 1979 Canadian Rally season began and ended in Toronto this weekend with the running of the Ontario Winter Rally. As it turned out, this year's Ontario event was the most closely fought in its 27-year history. 43 cars started the Ontario Winter Rally, which covered a distance of 900 kilometers. The first stage was held at Toronto's Woodbine Racetrack on Saturday morning. Defending champions Taisto Heinonen and Tom Burgess were the pre-rally favorites in their factory-prepared Toyota Celica. Their main competition was expected to come from Jean-Paul Pérouse.
Even when they fight after the bell, they don't fight well. Point of truth, it's been a lousy fight.
The Flying Finn, Taisto Heinonen, taking off from Woodbine Racetrack on Saturday in Toronto, the second event of the Canadian Rally Championship Series. In a Toyota, car number 2, Heinonen built up an early lead as the course wound through central Ontario, and he took a 15-second lead into Sunday's final stages, but he drove too cautiously, and on the final stage he was caught by Jean-Paul Pérouse, who won the event, an over 900-kilometer event. Pérouse won it by less than 4 seconds in car number 2, the TR7.
was won by Jean-Paul Pérusse in Toronto on the weekend. 43 cars set out in the 900-kilometer rally with the first special stage at Woodbine Racetrack. Defending champions, Taisto Heinonen and Tom Burgess in a Toyota Celica were the favorites. Principal competition was expected from the British Leyland team of Jean-Paul Pérusse and Louis Belanger of Montreal.
The second event of the Canadian Rally Series. The man you see on your screen is the Flying Finn, Taisto Heinonen, taking off from the starting point at Toronto Woodbine Racetrack in his Toyota car number 2, and Heinonen did well in the early stages, building up a considerable lead, and the course took the drivers through central Ontario, in fact, all the way up to Parry Sound and back. But Heinonen, with a 15-second edge in the final stages, was caught by Pérusse of Montreal, with Pérusse crossing the finish line first, and that was a scant.
Still with racing, the second round of the 1979 Canadian Rally Championship was held in the Parry Sound district this past weekend. This year's Ontario Winter Rally was the closest in the event's 27-year history.
Ontario Winter Rally, which covered a distance of 900 kilometers. The first stage was held at Toronto's Woodbine Racetrack on Saturday morning. Defending champions Taisto Heinonen and Tom Burgess were the pre-rally favorites in their factory-prepared Toyota Celica. Their main competition was expected to come from Jean-Paul Pérusse and Louis Belanger of Montreal in a Triumph TR7, and as it turned out, that was exactly the case. The team of Pérusse and Belanger won the event by a margin of just 4 seconds over the team of Heinonen and Burgess. Third place went to Bo Skowronek of San